Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this episode, I talked to Poornima Patil about joint family. Hi, Poornima. Welcome to the podcast and thanks for making time to appear here in the podcast. Can you tell us a bit about your background?
Thank you, Venkat, for inviting me. I'm Poornima Patil. I'm living in Bangalore since last 18 years. I was born in North Karnataka, moved to Bangalore post my graduation. I've worked in the IT industry for close to 10 years.
Okay. And what is exciting about IT in your opinion?
Okay. Moving into IT was like a dream come true for someone like me who moved from a tier 2 city from North Karnataka. Working in IT was actually something that I was looking forward immediately after completing my engineering. The most rewarding aspect there was, filing patents. So it was a very incredible experience for me where, I could contribute to some new ideas. And yeah, it was really nice to learn new things and, get new exposure to the IT field.
Okay. So you are an idea generator then.
Yes, that was something that I actually picked up when I was, as part of the team which I worked.
Generally, are you an innovator or somebody who is fascinated by ideas and generate a lot of ideas?
Yes, actually, I mean, it actually started when I was as a part of a team actually. So when I was, the team itself was very supportive. Yes, that was the seed which started. But moving further, I got, into filing individual patents, and I have one individual patent and couple of them which we, filed as a group. So yes, it started there, but it continued throughout my journey.
Wow, that's wonderful. So it's great to hear about somebody filing patents and having ideas and things like that.
It was a very conscious decision from my end to take a break from my career to be there for my kids and to, watch them grow. So I actually took a break immediately after my maternity leave, and for about 2 to 3 years, I was actually, enjoying my motherhood journey. Once my kids started growing a bit older, they were going to the play home and all. I had some time in my hand where, like couple of hours in a day where I could actually sit back and think of what is it that I can do further. So that gave me an exposure to explore about things in freelancing. So this is again around COVID when things were really slow. I started exploring a lot of options to figure out if I can have a better work life balance. So that is when I, started off with freelancing. And currently, I'm actually a freelance developer, learning new things every day, and looking forward for new opportunities.
Oh, that's great. So what kind of development activities do you do? What kind of languages do you use and what platforms are you working on?
I started off my freelancing journey by learning, the basics of web development, which included, HTML, CSS, Tailwind, and currently, freelancing is an ongoing learning process. There's no end to it. I mean, you literally have to learn new things, every other day. Currently, I have started working on backend also because there were a lot of requests that come from the clients, and you can't say no. So you'll have to explore new things. I have learned Laravel. That is the latest addition to my learning. So I've started exploring backend options also. So I could say I'm somewhere close to a full stack developer now, which does include both the front end and backend technologies. But yes, my major focus is web development.
Okay, great. So I wish you all the best for being a full stack developer soon. Now, moving
Yes.
on, I think you talked about your thoughts about society and how to make a change in the society and things like that. Can you tell us a bit about that? What ideas you have in mind?
Yeah. So this was during the time frame of 2010, 2011 when I was, with when I was working in IT. I had, I was free over the weekends. Like Saturday and Sunday was something that I could spend my time on, on my passion. So it all started when I joined my hands with an NGO which is called Youth for Seva, and I started exploring. I started volunteering in the field of education. So every Saturday I used to go to this government schools to teach English. So that is where I figured out, there are certain options where, for us who are educated to go ahead and, spend some time with these kids, specifically in the government schools where they really lack, resources in terms of, be it books or, exposure to the outside world. So I started, spending couple of hours every weekend with these kids, specifically teaching them languages which they were lacking a bit behind from the school. So that is where it actually began. But due to personal commitments, I couldn't continue it further long. But very recently now, since I have few more hours, my kids now, my twins are now almost 8 years old now. They go to full time school. I mean, after my freelancing work, I still have couple of hours in the evening. So I, of late, I have started, having small, spending few hours with the kids here in the community who are underprivileged, who go to government schools. So I take some tuition classes specifically, for the languages like English and maths, and teach them, spend some time with them for say 2 hours or an hour a day. It varies again. Every day it is different, but I kind of invest some time when I can, give back a bit to the society from my end.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. I really admire the way that you are engaging with the kids and trying to make a difference. Talking about those kids, are those from construction workers?
Yes, basically, very recently we moved into a new society where there are a lot of construction workers here, and there are also maids who come down. Right, most of the kids there go to these government schools, and if I have to specifically say this, right, the girl child is sent to a school just because there is afternoon lunch that is provided for free. This is kind of the mindset that I've been seeing in lot of people, and I think it comes from the state of they are uh, the state that they are in, right? Even one lunch that is provided for free is kind of lessens their burden on their lifestyle. This is where I got to know that there are a lot of kids who are, actually getting into the school just for this sake, right? And a girl child specifically after 10th or, probably just after her higher primary drops off from a school and, is generally either made to work as a maid or, some household work. So this is where I, picked it from, and then I mean, my intention was, to ensure they continue going to the school. And one advantage of teaching them is that, moving further when they have a better score in their school, right? The parents are also motivated to, make them study further. So my current focus is to educate a girl child specifically from such communities, where they can at least get a marks, where they clear their subjects, and, they get to study further.
That's great. I have heard someone say that even if you help one person, you are still helping one person for a bright future, and that's all it matters. The analogy was something to do with a tortoise trying to cross the river and somebody trying to help it. One by one, they were trying to take the tortoises out of the river and putting it aside, and somebody asked them, "Why are you doing one by one? It could take a very long time to do all this." And that person replied that if I help one tortoise, that's enough. And that will take care of whatever I'm trying to do. Rest is just bonus. So that's how they replied. So that's wonderful that you are doing this. I would like to understand because I have been talking about construction worker kids and the problem with the kids, with the parents who have migrated to the cities. I have been interacting with an organization which is helping these kids in terms of taking care of them and trying to provide them education and stuff like that. They're doing it in somewhere in near North Bangalore. So we have an issue in hand that we have to do something about these kids. But the real root cause of this issue is that they are moving here from wherever they are, from North Karnataka or somewhere else. So the immigration is the problem, and why they are moving is because they could not find opportunities of work from where they are, right? So maybe they were in agriculture or they were in daily wages and
Yes.
things like that in the
Yes.
places that they were in.
Yeah.
So I suggested to them, in addition to all this that you are trying to do, why don't you also try to avoid this immigration somehow by talking to the people who are in those areas and trying to educate them and trying to find them opportunities, and going to their place and provide the opportunities there itself so that they don't need to move
Yes.
here.
Correct.
So
No,
it's
I
a
understand.
it's a
Yeah.
twofold solution. One is we have to address it here, and the other option is really building capacity on these places so that they don't move to the cities, because the state here is really pathetic for them.
Yes, I completely understand this. Yes, I have been through very similar, I mean, with the interactions that I have done with a couple of them, right? I mean, the maid that I'm talking now is actually again from North Karnataka who has moved down to Bangalore just for a better opportunity for her. Correct. I agree. That is definitely there. Most of it is dependent on agriculture. I mean, we have agricultural land in our family. I mean, my father owns his agricultural land. If I see that there, right? There are a lot of people who are heavily dependent on agriculture, and agriculture, as we all know, right, is dependent on a lot of climatic conditions. Not every time is the same thing, right? I mean, our lands are really fertile. We are blessed enough to have somebody who is taking care of them there. But there are lots of people in these villages who are so heavily dependent on agriculture that even one season of either there is extreme rainfall or there is literally drought, right? I think most of these people come from that section of the society where they are heavily dependent on agriculture, and it is not a very reliable source of income for them. So I think they're forced to do these things out of compulsion, because this is not something that is in their control. I don't think, even I mean, speaking to my maid here or my people at my village, right, most of them really want to settle there because the life that they enjoy, or the culture that they have been into, is not something they get very well adjusted when they move to cities like Bangalore, or any metro cities as such. It's not a very conscious decision, but I think it is the condition that makes them choose this option of moving into cities like Bangalore, where they literally have struggled to make ends meet. And I think the kids, again, are part of this entire process, who will have to go through change of school or change of their entire ecosystem, right?
Yeah,
it
change
it
of everything.
definitely affects, yeah, it definitely affects them. But yes, I also see there are a lot of opportunities that are being opened up, but I think the change will take some time, to actually reflect and see. But as again I said, right, it is, since it is heavily dependent on agriculture, I think these things are sometimes out of their control.
Yeah, and I'm hearing this not just from India but also from other places of the world where there
Yeah.
are coffee plantations and there is a heavy drought because of the climate change, and people are
Correct.
not able to sustain whatever they are doing and they move to other places and things like that.
Yes.
So these things
Yes.
happen. So moving on, what else are you seeing around you, and what kind of other issues that you come across on a daily basis?
One thing which I deeply felt, specifically around in the recent times, is living in joint families, teaching our kids about relations, how to maintain that. Just to give you a background of how did this come from, I have a joint family of 11 members, and again, we live in the same apartment or the same building complex as such, with my parents, my in-laws being here, my sister's family being here. So I think of late, right, it's very important for us to get our kids get involved with either their grandparents or relatives, keep them in that connect. See, that is something that I deeply felt about, and that was one of the major reasons for me to quit my IT career and completely focus on that, because that was something that I also wanted to experience. Otherwise, this 9 to 6, you're back from your office, you get into the calls, the life becomes very hectic. I think somewhere we should also learn to enjoy being in a family, close knit family, where you give time to each other, specifically spend time with the kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. And our society is a very beautiful setup where we have these generations of living together and taking care of them.
Yes.
And it's fantastic that everything is weaved into our lifestyle, that it happens quite naturally. Otherwise you will have to go out of the way to do these things. For example, if you want to relate to or mix with old people, if you don't have grandparents at your home, then you have to go out and do this as kind of a social work or something like that, apart from your responsibilities. But in a family setup, it all comes naturally, and you get the opportunity to do all these things. So that's fantastic in our setup. The maturity also grows in terms of our tolerance towards many stuff. When we interact with people with different maturity levels, our maturity also grows. So these are all benefits that we get from having a joint family and engaging with them. But there are, of course, sacrifices which we might feel sad about, that we are missing something. Oh, I haven't gone for the world travel or something like that. But yeah, quite true, quite true. I agree. So, are you a great cook?
Oh yes, I love enjoy. I mean, I really do enjoy cooking. And most of the things at my home are, I mean, there's hardly something that is store bought. So everything is done at home. It's almost a feast every weekend. And yes, since living in a joint family, it's something that we try to do it as a as a family activity. Literally, my kids, my in-laws, my husband, all of us are involved. And yeah, we do host a lot of friends, and most of the things are done at home.
Wow. Do you try other country cuisines also, like Italian, things like that?
Yes, I do. But personally, again, my family comes from an Orthodox background. We follow Sattvic food at home. The options are limited, but yes, we do. I mean, I make pizzas, I make pastas, and there are a lot of things that kids love to eat.
So, Sattvic Italian food.
Yes. So anybody wants to time, you're always, you want to try Sattvic, any kind of Sattvic cuisine, you're always welcome.
So I have an idea for you. So since
Mm.
you have filed patents and stuff like that, and since you find the cooking starts at 5 o'clock and ends up around 10:30, keeps you engaged. So my suggestion is to invent some robots which can help you in the kitchen to cut vegetables.
Oh, that's a great suggestion. But again, yeah, I'll surely think about it. That's something that I had not thought of it before. But yeah, it's a nice idea. Even when there's no support around you, right? So even my 8-year-old son can cut some vegetables as of now. But
Oh,
I'm surely
believe
going to
me,
train him.
it's so important now that
Yeah.
people are going abroad, and as bachelors, they go abroad and then they suffer because they cannot cook and there's nobody to support them, and the loneliness also adds on. So it's very difficult if you don't know how to support yourself. So great, wonderful hearing all your thoughts. Thank you for spending time and sharing your valuable inputs on many issues. And of course, the younger generation would appreciate hearing to you and taking a cue of how to do things and how to be. And I wish you all the best in whatever you do in the future and whatever you aspire for. Are there any questions that you would like to ask me before we conclude?
No, I think it was really nice talking to you. There are a lot of things that I opened up, which I probably hardly spoke about in recently. So it was really nice. It was a very good experience.
That's the whole idea of this podcast, to make people express themselves. I'm so happy that you were able to do that. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. Have a nice one.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
That was a great podcast with Poornima Patil. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.